Hi, everyone. It's Denise Brown from the Caregiving Years Training Academy. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our award ceremony for 3 categories of our Caring Award. And tonight we're going to honor the winners in our Advocate, our Book Authors, and our TikTok Creator Awards. And I'm thrilled to have our winners with us tonight. And we're going to start off with a conversation with our Advocate winners. So we've got our 3 winners with us tonight. And I'm going to call out your names. You could say hello, and then we'll start our conversation. Okay, so Paula is joining us tonight, and Paula has founded an organization called Universal Dementia Caregivers. Hi, Paula.
Hi, thank you very much for this opportunity.
It's great to have you. I'm grateful that you could be with us tonight. Okay, we also have Andrew with us. So Andrew founded an organization, the McClendon Family Foundation, and he supports children with special needs by providing a bike just for them. So Andrew, thanks for being with us tonight.
Honored to be here. Thank you.
And then Lance is with us tonight, and Lance is director with Guidehouse. However, prior to that, he was, and I'm going to read off your official title, Lance, so I get it right. So Lance is the former U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Assistant Secretary for Aging. He ran the administration for community living from 2016 to 2020. Did I get the dates right, Lance?
Close.
Okay.
But yes, thank you. Good to be with you.
So close enough, close enough. So Lance, it's great to see you. We're going to start with you. You have been, you've been in the caregiving field for 30 years, and you have had quite a career because you really started local, state, and then you ended up federal, where you ran basically our programs that provide services to older adults and their family caregivers. And when you started with ACL, you really made it your priority to create programs and greater awareness for family caregivers. So when you got to ACL and you thought there's an opportunity for family caregivers, what was it? What were the problems that you wanted to solve?
Yeah, so it's good to be with you, Denise. And by the way, of everybody joining today, I don't know how long you've known Denise, but I first got to know Denise in 1997. So we have quite the history. Yes, whenever I landed in federal service, one of my 5 pillars included better supporting family caregivers. You know, it's not a new conversation, we know that, but my goal, my hope in serving at the federal level was to really make sure that we moved the ball and that we did some significant things, which we did. And that even happened while fighting a pandemic as well. Yeah. But the biggest thing I think we accomplished was really working with Congress to make sure that serious consideration was given to how we best meet the needs of caregivers moving forward. So we developed a national committee, just released a report that went to Congress a few months ago that outlined 26 recommendations, really calling for congressional action on significantly supporting caregivers. So more than just what we received through appropriations on the Old Americans Act side, which we're grateful for, but it's a pittance compared to what we need. We really are challenging Congress and federal leadership to step up and do some very meaningful things, whether, again, it's a policy change or something that may involve appropriations. And how do we, again, position ourselves as a country to better support caregivers who we know are the backbone of how we continue to maintain independence as people age in our society. So critical work, that was one of many things we did, but very proud of what we're able to do and really making sure that we shed better light on the importance of supporting caregivers.
Absolutely. And I should say that you are my advocacy whisperer. So you you have helped me launch some advocacy efforts in 2021 that really, we think, made a difference in terms of federal money going into the states to be used to fund caregiving support. And the goal is that we continue this push, we continue to create awareness. And I think what's so great is that there's a collaborative effort across really a wide variety of organizations that are interested and committed and passionate about this particular issue. And I really believe, Lance, it's because of your leadership that we're moving forward and making progress.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
Okay, so let's move to Paula. So Paula, you're very specific about who you serve, and it's families who have an individual with dementia. And I wonder if you could share with us how you really zeroed in on that's where you want to make the difference.
Again, thank you very much for this opportunity and excited to be here with all of you. Both of my parents died from dementia-related diseases. And as a result of that journey, I'm a psychologist by training, and I want you to know I thought I was smart until I went through the experience of loving and caring and journeying with them down the road of the dementia caregiver road. I was blessed enough, and I reframe caregiving such that it becomes a positive. Because right now, oftentimes people think of caregiving, they only think of the worst things. Even though it's challenging and all these other things, it also brings a lot of gifts and opportunities. But what I did is, in supporting my parents, I came to appreciate how many things you needed that you didn't have. How many people you needed to talk to that you didn't know, and you felt so isolated in the process, and you didn't realize there were all kinds of thousands and thousands of other caregivers out there like you. And my primary focus are caregivers of color. And our focus in that area in particular is because many of our caregivers, first of all, dementia hits communities of color at higher rates. Not only that, many caregivers of color are not into going to the doctor. So we've got these perceptions of the medical community. So we have these issues of the numbers high, we're the last to receive the services because we're not going, we keep our loved ones at home, and oftentimes we isolate ourselves. And on top of that, sometimes we think dementia is a mental illness. And then in some communities of color, dementia is viewed as a mental illness, but it's not. We all have come to appreciate that. So I decided to start a nonprofit. And it came out a result of me writing a journal, because you're supposed to journal and get this stuff out of you and express yourself. Well, I had this great journal and I looked at it. Let's talk about it. I read this journal and I said, oh my God, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm pathetic. Listen to what I'm writing. But I am a believer that we go through things for lots of purposes. Sometimes the purpose is for you, that you grow, but I also believe there are some purposes you go through for other people. And as a result of that journey of reading that thing, we designed, with the support of Wayne State, a program called Caregivers Passage Through Dementia. And we're being reviewed now as evidence-based. So we're doing all the right stuff you're supposed to do. But meanwhile, what we're doing is we're caring for caregivers, because our byline is we care for caregivers. And our loved ones living with disease, lots of people care for them. We're focusing a lot of our attention on the caregiver who needs skills, oftentimes has never been trained, who feels like they have no time, who's feeling overwhelmed. And we reframe it and say, caregiving is a gift. It's a gift that you've been selected to walk this journey with your loved one. And what a privilege. What a privilege. And so what we did is we try to elevate the caregiver's sense of self. We provide skills and training. We do boot camps. We do lunch and learns. We do online training. And we've designed a number of training materials that are online, that are available for caregivers. And it's as someone said, it's your passion. This is my mission at this point in my life. We are going to ensure that the caregivers that we touch and I have audience with, and we're giving permission to support, are given coaching, training, opportunities to just be in a safe space and complain. We've designed some approaches to managing challenging behaviors. And if any of you have supported loved ones living with dementia, some of the behaviors can be challenging. But the biggest challenge is the self-management. So what we focus again on is empowering the caregiver. And I could talk all day, so let me stop, Denise. I know we have a few minutes. Let me stop. But universal dementia caregivers is our gift, it's our passion, and it's where we are and where we're headed. And we continue to support caregivers of color in particular, but we're open to servicing anyone.
Beautiful.
Paula, I love how you talk about gift, because that is a great segue for Andrew, who actually gives the gift of bikes, adaptive bikes for kids with special needs. So Andrew, tell us how you decided that was your life's work, that this is your life's work.
So I was looking for a project that I could do, a charitable project that I could do, start, 10 or 15 years ago, but be ready for me to go into full-time in retirement. And so I'm a big bike rider. I love to ride bikes. And I had a friend who had a son with hydrocephalus, and he had a poor diet. And I just knew that if I could find a way for that young man to burn calories, that he would eat better. And if he ate better, likely a lot of other things would improve as well. And I found, I didn't know anything about adaptive bikes 15 years ago. I went and looked into it, and I found a bike, and I was able to give it to him for Christmas. It went really well. And I thought it was just about that sense of freedom or that joy from riding a bike or the pride of owning your own bike. What I realized after putting several bikes out there, it was so much more. These bikes were helping the children build critical core strength. It was which was just tremendous to their progress and their development. And I had families starting to call me and give me feedback that these bikes were changing their kids' lives. I had no idea that that would be happening. And what was happening after that, Denise, is once they were building strength, then they were building confidence. They say, hey, if I can ride an adaptive bike, I can do wheelchair tennis, I can do wheelchair basketball, wheelchair dancing. And then we started to get stories back of how it was helping nurture friendships or inclusion. So much more was happening. It's a strength, the confidence, and inclusion. These bikes were changing lives in a very meaningful way. So we had a young lady by the name of Katie LeBlanc. We gave her a bike when she was 12 years old. Her mother said that she was fairly sedentary. She has spina bifida. She doesn't have the use of her legs, and she spent a lot of time on the couch watching television. And we got her a bike, so she started to ride the bike. We got her a hand cycle, so she can pedal this bike with her hands, and it's a 3-wheel bike. And she not only started to ride, but she started to train for special needs races. And she really got into it, and it became transformational to her. And she was interviewed in a magazine a couple of years after getting the bike. And they asked her, what it meant to her. And she talked about it building confidence. She said, I always knew there was an athlete in me. So we helped this child discover her inner athlete. And I mean, that's the greatest thing that I've ever heard. And so we just put the pedal to the metal. And we have this singular focus of providing adaptive bikes to children with special needs. These are expensive bikes. And the vast majority of families who have special needs children do not have disposable income. And insurance does not cover the cost of these bikes, and it should, because they are extremely beneficial for the child. And so, we were able to make relationships with pediatric rehab clinics. These physical therapists, they find the families, the children that could benefit, that are going to be good stewards of an expensive asset, that are going to have that bike for themselves at home. And so what we do is we get these children riding, and they'll use the bike for a while. They'll outgrow it at some point. We get that bike back from them. We clean it up, fix it up if necessary. We get it into the hands of another child, and we get that first child the next larger bike. So we get them riding and we keep them riding. So that's our commitment. We have 450 adaptive bikes out there, over $1 million worth of bikes. And we've been very fortunate to have a lot of people become passionate about our program and support us. And we've been able to extend our reach tremendously.
Wow. Now that's a story for a book. And so that is my segue I'm going to use to move to our second category. That is amazing, Andrew. That is amazing. Okay, so I want to introduce you guys to our book award winners. So Patty, Rebecca, and Norris. How are you guys tonight?
Great.
Okay, so you guys have a little bit of a variety in terms of the book. So what I'd like is that this variety. So Rebecca, you have a fiction book called My Dad, My Dog. I always get it mixed up.
Yes, that's correct. My Dad, My Dog.
Oh, I did get it right. Okay. And then Patty, your book is basically nonfiction, but it's strategy. How do we take care of ourselves? And so your book is it's one breath.
One simple breath.
One simple breath. I knew there was an adjective I was forgetting. One simple breath. And then Norris, basically you've written memoirs about caring for your parents. So you wrote your first book, which was Mama is Still Here. And then your second book is Daddy is Still Here. And it's really a series that you're creating. And so I love that you each have a different way of using the tool of writing to tell a story or to offer a strategy or a solution. So Rebecca, let's start with you. What problem did you want to solve with your book?
My purpose in writing My Dad, My Dog was to shine a light on the difficulty of being an in-home caregiver. And that's a problem I wanted to solve, draw attention to it. But that's still a problem. Not much has happened, not much significant has happened at the time since I wrote that book over the 2-year period, or since it was published last November in 2020. That's why I was excited about Biden's proposed Build Back Better, because it was going to address a lot of these things that we've talked about, including what you were talking about, the Medicaid community-based care program. It was going to increase funding for that over the next 10 years and aim to make a greater investment in family caregivers. And we know about this gridlock in Washington, and it's not happening right now. So it's that's still what I want to solve through my writing. And one way I'm doing that and staying focused is I've been doing a great deal of research. And the reason I've been doing that, I've been culling through a lot of information because I'm writing three articles for publication. And that keeps me focused. And I want to pare it down. I mean, I read a lot. Most people don't read as much about this because they don't have as much personal interest, but I read a lot. And I want to be able to pare that down so that it's easily digestible. And right now I'm putting together that 3-part blog, but I started it with the expectation that Build Back Better would be in play. And without that having happened, I'm still a work in progress. So,
I love though this idea that the written word can create awareness around a problem that so many of us are living with. And Patty, you really took the idea that we can solve this for ourselves. And so in your book, you share this strategy of breathing. So tell us when you knew, Patty, that you had a book from this strategy that's really been an important part of your caregiving experience.
Well, like a lot of you, I keep a lot of journals. And I have a mad journal and a happy journal and a grateful journal, and they're all different colors, and some are hidden under places I don't want anybody finding it by accident without explanation. But probably in the process of journaling through some of my emotions, I started to recognize where I was able to find some space for relief, for some ease. And I practice yoga, I teach yoga, I practice meditation, but wasn't specific, wasn't good at, didn't have a regular, I say that a lot, I meditate, but it wasn't purposive. And in the process of being quite isolated, like all of you who are caregivers, it's a pretty isolating feeling most of the time. So I found that when I looked inward to myself, I could get some, not all, some of the support that I needed to keep going the next day, because I had no time. Time is the resource that we all want. I had no time teaching full time and caring for my mom and dad. I was at work, or I was going to their house or coming home and doing it all again the next day. So what I started to try to do is recognize what qualities that I have inside of myself that I wanted to help grow. I want to be better. I want to be kinder. I want to be kinder to my dad. I want to be kinder to myself, because often at the end of the day, the most critical voice is mine. And a lot of should haves, or I will, or I would, could, a lot of conditionality. So what I found accidentally in the process of cultivating kindness with a breath is that it naturally extended to other people. And the more I extended kindness to other people, the more open I was to receiving it from other people. So that's when I sort of put it down, started to put these pieces together on paper, and really also like sharing with another caregiver in line at a grocery store, or on a yoga mat before a practice starts. Not a lot of time, but those of you who've ever mentioned that you work in caregiving, which is all of us here, to another person, know that just saying the word caregiver, their faces change. They just change. And they may start to tell you their whole life's caregiving story, because they know you understand. So feeling like I understand a little bit about what caregivers go through, of course, what worked for me at the top and the bottom of every breath that we take, and we take over 20,000 of them a day, there's a space. And in that space, which is all my own, it's mine, I can connect thoughts that can help me move forward in a positive way, in a helpful way, a meaningful way. Doesn't solve all problems in the world. I know where I'm walking, I know what I'm going into, or I have a pretty good idea, but it can help bring me to a place where I know I have all of the things that I need right this moment here. So what I did when I wrote the book is made it in short sections, really broke things up. I give instruction and then I give examples, so that if a caregiver has 2 seconds, open the book, you see bold-faced typed words. Maybe those are the words that would help you, maybe not. But if all you do is open the book and close the book, and then you take a breath, which we're going to do, at the top and the bottom, you can put your own words to breath, the words that help you keep moving forward. So that's kind of how it came together in a book form. It sort of happened like a lot of writers, I think. It just, once you started, it kind of naturally shifted and moved itself around. The more I shared it, the more feedback you get from other caregivers, the more motivated you are. Okay, this is something helpful, I hope.
Yeah. So we're going to move to Norris and talk about his memoirs. And as we move to Norris, I just want to mention, we should have time for questions from the audience. So if you have questions for our winners, please feel free to type them in the chat room and we'll get to them. And Norris was here, but I am not sure if he is still with us. Okay, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to move to our TikTok.
Norris is there. He needs to unmute himself.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Norris,
Oh, there we go.
muted.
There we go. He moved in my little. Okay, there we go. Norris, are you here? Okay.
You're muted.
Yeah. Go ahead and unmute.
Got it.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Hello. Good.
Yeah,
Hello.
good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So
Good to see you.
I'm just curious, do you journal?
No, I don't journal.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're going on. We had a journal theme going there for a little bit. You did, however, if I remember correctly, when we talked in our book club, you did take pretty specific, you jotted down specific notes about what was going on as you were caring for your parents. Or am I making that up?
Yeah, I did take down some notes. What was happening, as my parents was going through their journey, my mother, when she was ill with the Alzheimer's and in the beginning of it, and I just saw how my dad was just so, I don't know how to say it, he was just so distraught. And I just kind of saw that I wanted to give my parents a voice. That was the reason for writing the book. I wanted to give my mother her voice and my dad a voice, because if you know, when you read my story about my dad, I mean, he just loved my mother all the way through it. You know, he did things like he took her to get her, took her to the beauty shop once a week to get her hair done. And all these other people that came along the way and just, you know, made it easier for him to do that. So I want to give him a voice. And when so my mother, she was still living when I published the first book, Mama Is Still Here. And so I didn't get through the whole story of her whole entire journey. And that's why I wrote the book, Daddy Is Still Here, so I can finish off her story, because she went through all 7 stages of Alzheimer's. But what ended up happening when I got a chance to write the second book, my dad became, you know, he was progressing through the Alzheimer's. As she progressed through Alzheimer's, his health was declining. And it was at one point that he didn't think that he was going to outlive my mother. He thought he was going to pass before she passed, because he was like a chronic diabetic. He was experiencing these low sugar episodes. But all that being said, I was able to give him a voice, and the way I was able to give him a voice, it was when I had my book signings with my first book, I would always introduce my dad at the book signing. And when I did that, he would always get a standing ovation. And so it was his chance or opportunity to, you know that all of the work that he was doing in the first part of the first phases of my mother's Alzheimer's, that his efforts were not in vain. And that's one of the things I wanted to do. But when I started to share my story, I learned that other people really resonated with it, and it was starting to help other people. It was because it was therapeutic for me to sort of write it out, because I didn't have anybody to talk to. And the things I was trying to conquer, I was trying to learn how to cope. I was trying to learn how to care, and most of all, conquer my fears. And as I'm by trade, I'm a technologist, a researcher. And so I kind of approached it that way with my learning and understanding about, how do I figure out, this problem that I'm faced with? And I share how I do that throughout my book. And so when you read my book, I'm a lover of music. My parents love music. And so all the chapter titles are song titles from the 60s and 70s. And these are songs that I grew up with, songs that my parents had in their record collection. The old 45s they had back in the day. And so I use those song titles, and I go through a section called Song Facts, just to express, how I feel that particular song is telling my story. How do I relate to that as I tell my story? Then I go into another section that's called flashbacks. And I just really think that memories are so, so important. And so I wanted people to know who these people were long before this caregiving journey began. And that's how I use the flashbacks. Then I go into the caregiving journey with story. Then the other thing to try to keep this, with the Alzheimer's in particular, it can just become so grim and so sad and so dark at times. I use scriptures from the Bible to try to uplift people and give people a place they can go to get some help. And then also, I always conclude every chapter with a prayer from my heart. And I always pray for the sufferer, the caregiver recipient, the caregiver. I pray for doctors. I just pray for everyone that can help us find a cure or just make life better as we progress through this disease.
So I love this theme of stories that is coming out, which is going to be our segue to go to our TikTok creators, because it's a different form of story when you're creating your TikTok videos. So our TikTok creator winners are Chris and Karen and Tony. So hi guys, thanks for being here. So Karen and Tony, we'll go to you guys first. What I'm dying to know is, how did you conquer your fear of going on TikTok? Or did you have a fear? I'm making an assumption.
Definitely had a fear. I just downloaded it one day, and my very first video did absolutely nothing. I I posted a couple, did nothing. And then I started to really just have faith in our journey and how it could impact other people. And so I started putting just a hint more thought into it and started finding clips that I thought related to the caregiving world. And it really just blew up. It's nuts. We can't even keep up, both of us, we have it both. It's one account, but we can't keep up with the amount of comments and just amount of people that are affected by ALS, which is what my husband has. It's crazy. Did you want to say something about it?
I just want to say it's awesome that you put on this call and all these people that are passionate about, you can tell how much it's in their hearts. And I love how Norris brought God into it. And you can tell from kind of my shirt, we didn't misspell victory. Our name's Vick, and then we did a wordplay, but we added that cross in there. And now I want to go get Norris's book and check it out.
That's awesome. You know what I love about what you guys do is that you show what a caregiving day is like. You just show it. And I think oftentimes we think about videos as being edited and, staged, and yours is just, this is what we're doing today. And this is what it's like. And this is why we're doing it. And then you show us what you're doing.
I have a prime example, which sometimes I just record just to record. And we were in the bathroom and I was just putting on his jacket. And sometimes he even thinks really, you have to record this. And I'm like, I don't know, I have no idea what we're doing. I don't know, but it went viral, absolutely viral. And it's just crazy the impact that it can have. And so that's our biggest thing, is just bringing awareness to what we're doing every single day, because there's so many people going through very similar situations, and it just makes them feel less alone. And then on the other side of the spectrum, it makes all of the other people just inspired. So I really love that side of it too, because there's so many people that are just inspired by our journey as well. I know Andrew, he's talked about his bikes, and I think that is just amazing, because any sort of adaptive equipment, especially for people that like Tony, he has ALS, and so he does a seated bike. He was in the Army for 14 years. He did best warrior competitions. He did marathons. He was in the gym every single day. And that type of equipment is so important, because it just is giving them this quality of life that is just, it's not even, there's no price tag on it. You cannot put a price tag on the quality of life that it's giving them. Just the other day, 2 days ago, he did 40 miles on his seated bike. He's legit.
Yeah.
I cannot keep up with him even. So what they're doing with the kids, I think, is so important, and just, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, quality of life, I think is so important. And what's interesting is I think TikTok really shows quality of life. And so, Chris, your TikTok channel is with you and your grandmother.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Life with Grams. I started an Instagram in 2017 when I became my Grams caregiver. My grandma was in a nursing home prior to me taking care of her. And she had lost 30 pounds in 3 months. And I just didn't want to see that be the end of her life. Just a few months before she was in the nursing home, we had taken a road trip, and I went to school for graphic design and photography. So I had documented this whole road trip, and it was really just something so special. So when she was diagnosed and I made the decision to be her caregiver, It was really kind of random. My roommate had just moved out to take care of his mother who had a stroke. And I said, you know what? Let Graham move in with me. Let me see if I can do it. I was 28 years old at the time. I wasn't married. I don't have children. So I felt like, let me just try, it doesn't hurt to try. And I started an Instagram shortly after because I knew nothing about caregiving. I had no idea. All I knew was that I loved my grandma and I wanted more for her. So we did the Instagram thing for a while and I created so many amazing connections. Honestly, the growth that I've had as a caregiver has come from the love and support of other caregivers. It's truly an experience that if you don't know firsthand, it's like when you meet someone who is a caregiver, it's like feeling a hug, even if it's just virtually. It really is like hugging someone and that comfort and that understanding. And so bringing us to TikTok, TikTok obviously has been a crazy hit the last couple of years. And so I just wanted to reach more people. We had a couple of thousand followers on our Instagram. And I was like, I think if we go to TikTok, I can reach more people. And we have reached so many people. It's quite outrageous. We have almost 200,000 followers. We go live every night, just kind of sharing what we do on a daily basis, just to show people that there can be joy in this disease. A diagnosis of Alzheimer's doesn't have to be the end. My grandma is now entering the later stages, so there's a lot more sleeping involved, a lot more assistance being done for her quality of life. But I still do everything I can to give her that love and that respect and that quality of life that she deserves. Caregiving can be extremely isolating and lonely. So sharing my journey on TikTok has really created a community for me that I'd be kind of lost without, especially as I watch my grandma enter these later really difficult stages. I'm glad that I'm showing that aspect of it too. So yeah.
I have been to one of your lives.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was awesome. So I know that everybody wants to know more about each other, and I'm going to share the link to the page on the website that has your TikTok handles, the website links. So before we leave, I'll do that for everybody. And I just wanted to throw out any questions that anybody has. And I also wonder if Lance could come on real quick just for another minute, because I started working with family caregivers in 1990. And I think, Lance, when you hear these stories tonight, don't you think, oh my gosh, we have come so far? I mean, isn't it amazing to think about everybody who is using their own special creative talent to make a difference for family caregivers? I'm curious what you think, Lance.
Well, and I'm grateful for the valuable technology examples we've been given and just the use of that to share our stories and then also to help in some of the caregiver activities. And again, all of that was foreign back then. Everything was just a one-on-one, hands-on sort of effort. Now, some of the work that's happening is, of course, being shared with so many others, which can be inspiring and motivating and encouraging, and all of that really has a value.
Yeah, it does. I used to drive to family caregivers' homes in this rural county in New Jersey to deliver respite services. And so our TikTok, I guess, was a cup of tea and a piece of pound cake. That's how we connected. So I think it's so great to think about how many can connect right from your home. I mean, that was one of the things that was always so hard. We were so homebound, but now we have this ability to connect to the world in a way that makes us feel comforted and supported and acknowledged for what we're doing and why we're doing it. Okay, so I just want to mention what Randy has written in the chat room. He or she, excuse me, says, I don't have a question. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to meet so many amazing, inspiring people this evening. Absolutely. It's been great to connect with each of you and to hear really what keeps you going or what keeps you motivated. I think I'll ask one last question to the winners, and maybe we'll just do a real quick flash round of, maybe you can answer this question in 30 seconds, but how do you stay focused? Because when you're out doing something that means so much to you, you are driven, which also means that there's challenges. So how do you stay focused? So Lance, how do you stay focused?
Well, just knowing that, at the end of the day, all of the collective work that we're doing, it will matter and it will have an impact on so many lives. It's not about the thank yous or the reward you get for it, but it's the gratification knowing that you made a difference.
Yeah, I love that. Paula, how about for you?
I think we're going to echo a whole lot of things together. Just knowing that you add value and that you make a difference in the lives of other people, it just that gift and the ability to give to others makes you feel so included. It helps you stay focused, let you know it's worthwhile. And as a caregiver, the fact that every day you impact the life of someone else and that they impact you and you grow in the process, that keeps me focused.
Oh, I love that. Andrew, how about for you?
As our name has gotten out into the special needs community, more and more people families have reached out to us to get on our waiting list. So the focus is we have a lot of families to serve, and so we just have to keep working hard to take care of the pipeline. So, and I would say knowing what the bikes mean to the children and the families, the smiles, the reactions that we get, the feedback that continues to come in, it's pretty easy for us to stay focused.
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing when you do something that is so life-changing. That's what keeps the focus.
Yeah.
Okay, Rebecca, how do you stay focused?
Well, I am a writer and I have to do a lot of research to write. And I gather a lot of information. I really enjoy doing that. And what I've learned in writing my book was that people really seek this information. And what we're talking about, the feedback, they read, they want to know. And I want to make it for the average person really accessible. But I did get many personal emails. My email address was in the back of the book, and dozens with people telling me how much it affected them and what it meant to them. And they told me their stories. And this is a story about loss of a parent and a pet. So it really touched a lot of people. And that's why I stay focused. I want to write and I want to help people understand more.
Yeah. Patty, how about for you?
That's really easy. I take care of my dad, and we're going to celebrate his 99th birthday in the middle of March. And he lives in an apartment 8 minutes, sometimes 7 if it's a night, from me. And I see him every day. And like Rebecca said, when you see the need that other caregivers have and you feel like you could do something that could help them, of course I'll write, because that's what I love to do. Of course I would do that. Easy to keep focused. The need is only going to increase. It's not going anywhere. So if I can help in any way, that's what I'm here for.
Norris, how about for you?
Again, I love to write, and I love my parents and I miss them so much. And when I do have the opportunities to share my story and connect with others and to just write more about their journey and about how it impacted my life and their lives, it just fills me up with so much joy. And so it's just not even hard for me to stay focused. It's almost just like breathing. It's just something I absolutely just have to do. It's not even a thing that I want to do. I just have to do it because it's what keeps me filled with joy and make me feel alive, and just be able just to share what could have been sought as something devastating, that it can actually help many people and countless people. And so I will continue to do this until I can't do it anymore.
Okay. Karen and Tony.
It is easy for us to stay focused. With ALS, your average life expectancy is only 2 to 5 years, which with that short of a lifespan, we want to fast track everything. We want to make all the memories, all the videos, and we want to share that with everybody that we possibly can in this short period of time, because that's, what we're told that we have. But on the other hand, we also want to hopefully extend that lifespan by, giving them the care that they deserve. Because I truly think with good care and good like energy and good motivation, I think the caregivers are the ones that are like really fueling these people and giving them a longer life expectancy. So I think we're like the heartbeat of it.
Yeah. Chris, how about for you?
I just want to say that we're all humans. We're all figuring it out as we go. And I think that if you can make a difference in one person's life, if you can make an impact in one person's world, then it's worth it. And so for me, that's what keeps me going. We're all just figuring it out. And if we can figure it out together, how beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Chris, you're ending on just the right note for us. Thank you for that. So thanks everybody so much for joining us tonight. And for those of you who are watching, if you look in the show notes, you'll see a link to meet our winners so you can be in touch with them. Thanks to everybody who's joined us in the audience. We so appreciate you being here with us tonight. And winners, please keep us posted on your work because we're so inspired by you. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.